Hello, and welcome to the Santaland podcast. I created it just for you. I'm your host, Tony Felice, and each episode I'll read to you for 10 minutes, and then we'll talk about what we just heard. Like the cricket in my story, I'll guide you through a grown-up fairy tale, one that explores ideas of existence, identity, and the soul's journey through trauma, and the transformative power of love. By the end, you'll have heard my whole story, a sneak peek into the creative process of bringing a book to life. Maybe we'll read other books together. But for now, follow the wise cricket and discover the Santaland within yourself, a place of hope, connection, and peace that's already inside of you. This podcast is especially made for those like me who feel a little different and maybe talk about math at weddings or philosophy at funerals. And like me, maybe you have a loving husband, or a wife, or somebody else that loves you. If not, we're here to love you, because you're in good company, my dear friends, here in Santaland. Welcome back. We are zipping along here. We are already on chapter 15, and it is entitled E equals MC Squirreled, and that's EMSEESQUIRRELED. E equals MC Squirreled. Memorial Day would arrive. Tom wandered between the beach, the house, and the studio. He was accused of being a nuisance by a great many people, but lovingly so, the way one accepts the eccentricities of a redeemed Scrooge. Time moved at a curious pace when you stop to look at a bee on a flower. Answers come deeper with a dosage of sunshine, or a pocket full of grain for a pony. He regretted arguing with, quote, those kinds of people in the past. Why seek approval from greedy and mean people? How foolish. But he gained perspective from every argument, every harsh word said to him by a stranger, or weepy adoration from fans. Still, I could tell the dream had an influence on him. He seemed more focused today. Tom thought about the image of those two palms touching, as he had described it to David. A thought popped into his head. This space is where we are most vulnerable to predation. This space between the good and the bad, or the known and unknown. This was the next clue that he had uncovered. Ugh, he said out loud. The sting from another absent-minded knife cut had taken up residence on his pinky finger. He thought, words, time, energy, thoughts transmuted into things. Good things? He walked back to the office from the house. As he entered, he noticed a dusty miniature calendar by his keyboard, 2 months past due in the figurative sense. He ripped off February and March and tossed them into a wicker basket. The irony escaped notice. Late again. The calendar was old-fashioned and corny. He rarely used it, but it held a bit of magic. One of its kind arrived every year at Christmas in a plain white envelope. In all capital letters, it said, "To Tom Sanders from Acme Computer Consultants. Merry Christmas, Mark." The gift of paper time was given by the town's computer geek, requesting, quote, "the pleasure of your business, referrals appreciated." One time, back in the early 2000s, Mark had made a pass at Tom. It was awkward, poorly timed, but sweet. The ensuing silence that stretched between the offer and the uncomfortable moment stretched to this day. Tom looked around at the barn's interior, admiring how perfect it felt. Well, to be fair, barn was a bit of an overstatement. True, it had previously been used to keep horses, and if Tom closed his eyes and concentrated, he could still smell them, still feel their presence. Outside, red paint was peeling, the kind of red seen on old billboards advertising pop or soda, faded and brilliant, merry and bright. A structure both modern and rustic, with big leaded windows on the east and west walls. Outside, on the south face of the barn, a weathered image of an American flag was painted across most of the side of the building. Painted on a whim, on a sweltering July morning in 2009, when Tom had pronounced to David, quote, "It's going to be ready in time for guests." David had stood and watched. In painting the flag, though, Tom had flagged himself, leaving David to entertain the guests while Tom recovered from heat stroke, alone in the main house, under cover of darkness and a quilt, his heart heavy with regret. Still, the flag was a cheerful gesture, announcing their own type of independence. Turning his back to the desk, Tom called out the items sitting there. "Look at this stuff," he said out loud to the dog. "The globe is important. It was a gift. And see this raven? This is one of my totems. A fan gave it to me. It's real onyx, for gosh sakes. And here's a fortune cookie. Who wouldn't want a fortune, right? And these ink cartridges, they're important. And here, this rubber chicken, Henny, she's important." He lifted the chicken and squeezed it. It squealed in a sound that roughly translated to, "Oh no!" The dog barked at the sound. I chirped in for good measure. "Oh, okay, that's enough. And look at these. These sunglasses are important. They have pot leaves on them. That's funny. And look, a postcard for food and stuff you can buy off the internet." Outside, the blue-white, unbroken horizon of water lifted a small cruise ship into the air to levitate over the horizon, a trick of the light. Light is sneaky, like dowagers. The afternoon sun, previously tangling itself with the new daisies and butterflies, now sneaked across the room. The central island, filled with organized materials, pens, brushes, ink, paper, tools, discarded bits and pieces in rank-and-file jars. Tom's desk was arranged to take up most of the southwest wall. On his left, the laundry room and gin. To his right was the sea, right where he'd left it. A double door to his left, the kind that horses stick their heads out of, and a large glazed window along the east side open to the garden and the main house beyond. Huge vaulted ceilings captured heat and conversations before being sent through vents to be redistributed to the world. Tom put his hands in his pockets, and the sun peeked from beneath a small space under his armpit. As if on cue, he scratched it, and a dust particle was caught on the wing, catching the light just so. He noticed it. He sighed. I sighed. He wasn't too lost. At least he could notice a thing like a piece of dust caught in a shard of sunlight. Chirp! Brahms, the aforementioned canine named above and the namesake of the composer, shifted and farted on his bed in the corner, capturing his own part of the sun and illustrating it with sound. Tom laughed and reached forward to pluck a greeting card from the bulletin board next to the computer, while simultaneously scratching Brahms on the butt with the toe of his sock. He tried to catch a pushpin before it fell to oblivion somewhere behind the desk. Anything behind there would be another distraction. "Leave it," I chirped. On the card, a teenage boy was pictured, bending over, and in a fart cloud was written the expression E equals MC squared. Inside the card, it read, "From one smartass to another, love Meredith." Chirp. Okay. Before you ask, no, Mark did not make a pass at me. But I do get this calendar every year, and I love it. Again, time pops in, and in and out of the story, there's always reminders about time. And hopefully you got a better description of what the place looks like. And what's the purpose of the flag? Well, I think you'll see what's coming, but it's sort of an announcement of a bit of independence in a lot of ways. That independence means freedom, and for Tom, freedom is very important to him. But so is structure and discipline, lots of other things. But freedom is very important to him, and privacy is very important to him. And we also learned that they like to entertain guests. We also learned about Henny. Henny is a real chicken, and maybe in another episode I'll introduce Henny so you can hear her scream. She is funny though, And my dog does bark at Henny every time I use it with the staff. Every time there's like a wah, wah, wah moment, Henny usually pops out and says, "Oh no!" So that's really the purpose of this chapter, was just to sort of introduce the Meredith character with a sense of humor. The chapter is entitled E equals EMSEE, Squirreled. So you'll figure out why it says that later on. It's kind of fun. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this reading, and look forward to you sticking around for the next chapter, chapter 16. This is where we learn about David. So it's the second part of our story. Look how far we've gotten. I'm so excited. You guys are still here. I mean, goodness gracious me. Are you really still here? Send me an email. Go to the website. Send me an email or a comment or wherever this is at. Hoping to get this on all the podcast platforms, like our other podcasts are out there. You can hear me too on another podcast, but I'm not here to pitch that. I'm here for you. I wrote this story for you. So I hope you like that one. That's pretty funny. And talk to you next time. Thanks. And enjoy your time, as always, in Santa Land.